Before borders were drawn, before civilizations rose and fell, there was a wall of stone and ice shaping the fate of an entire continent. From space, it appears as a vast scar across the Earth's surface. On the ground, it becomes something far more powerful, a world where gravity feels different, time moves slower, and survival demands absolute respect for nature. This is the Himalayas, the highest mountain range on the planet. A place where the air grows thin, rivers are born from ancient glaciers, and human belief rises as high as the peaks themselves. Here, mountains are not just landscapes, they are gods, guardians, and boundaries between worlds. For centuries, monks, climbers, nomads, and pilgrims have been drawn into this realm, seeking meaning, challenge, or enlightenment among the clouds. The Himalayas shape, whether patterns across Asia, feed billions through their rivers, and stand as a living reminder of Earth's unstoppable geological power. This is not simply a journey across mountains. It is a journey into the forces that shape life, belief, and the limits of human endurance at the roof of the world. The Himalayas were not shaped by erosion alone, but by one of the most powerful geological events in Earth's history. Around 50 million years ago, the Indian tectonic plate began colliding with the Eurasian plate, forcing vast layers of rock upward from the ancient seabed. That collision has never stopped. Even today, the Himalayas continue to rise by a few millimeters each year, making them the youngest and most dynamic mountain range on the planet. Stretching over 2,400 kilometers, the Himalayas form a natural barrier between the Indian subcontinent and the Tibetan plateau. Their immense height blocks cold northern winds while trapping monsoon clouds, shaping the climate of South Asia. Without the Himalayas, much of the region would be arid and inhospitable. At the heart of the range lie some of Earth's most extreme landscapes, towering peaks above 8,000 meters, deep glacial valleys, and vast ice fields that store the largest concentration of fresh water outside the polar regions. These glaciers give birth to Asia's great rivers, the Indus, Ganges, Brahmaputra, Yangtze, and Yellow River, sustaining civilizations for thousands of years. Human history in the Himalayas is a story of adaptation. Early trade routes crossed dangerous passes, linking India, Tibet, and Central Asia. Salt, wool, spices, and ideas moved through these mountains despite avalanches, thin air, and brutal winters. Empires rose and fell around the Himalayas, but few ever fully controlled them. For centuries, the mountains remained largely inaccessible to the outside world. It was only in the 19th and 20th centuries that explorers and climbers began to map the region, revealing both its geographic extremes and its cultural depth. The ascent of Mount Everest in 1953 marked a turning point, transforming the Himalayas from an unknown frontier into a global symbol of human ambition. Yet despite modern technology and mapping, the Himalayas remain unpredictable. Earthquakes, landslides, and rapidly melting glaciers remind us that this is a living landscape, still forming, still shifting, a place where geology and history continue to unfold in real time. Life in the Himalayas is shaped by altitude as much as by tradition. Above 3,000 meters, oxygen levels drop, temperatures fall sharply, and survival becomes a daily negotiation with the environment. Yet for thousands of years, human communities have not only endured here, they have built cultures deeply connected to the mountains themselves. Many Himalayan peoples, including Sherpa, Tibetan, Ladakhi, Gurung, Tamang, and Busha communities, have developed unique biological and cultural adaptations to life at high elevation. Generations of living in thin air have resulted in remarkable physical resilience, while social structures emphasize cooperation, endurance, and respect for nature. Spiritual belief is woven into everyday life. In much of the Himalayas, Buddhism and Hinduism coexist, shaping architecture, festivals, and daily rituals. Mountains are often considered sacred beings rather than obstacles. Prayer flags carry mantras into the wind, stone walls are carved with sacred texts, and monasteries cling to cliffs as places of learning and meditation. Isolation has preserved traditions that have changed little over centuries. Villages rely on seasonal rhythms, planting, herding, and harvesting timed precisely to weather patterns. Yak herding, high-altitude farming, and long-distance trade once formed the backbone of Himalayan economies, with caravans crossing dangerous passes to connect distant regions. Hospitality is a core value in mountain culture. In an environment where weather can turn deadly within hours, offering shelter and food to travelers is not kindness. It is survival wisdom passed down through generations. Modern influences are now reaching even the most remote valleys. Tourism, roads, and digital connectivity are transforming lifestyles, bringing new opportunities along with cultural challenges. Younger generations balance traditional identity with modern education, while elders work to preserve language, rituals, and ecological knowledge. Despite these changes, the essence of Himalayan life remains unchanged. Here, people live with an acute awareness of nature's power. Every journey, harvest, and prayer reflects a deep understanding that at high altitude, humanity does not dominate the landscape. It lives in quiet coexistence with it. In Nepal, the Himalayas are not a distant backdrop. They define the country itself. More than 75% of Nepal's land is shaped by the Himalayan range, creating one of the most dramatic vertical landscapes on Earth. From subtropical valleys to ice-covered summits above 8,000 meters, Nepal rises in a matter of days, not centuries of travel. This section of the Himalayas contains 8 of the world's 14 highest peaks, including Mount Everest, the highest point on the planet. But beyond record-breaking heights, Nepal's Himalayas form a living system of glaciers, rivers, and high-altitude ecosystems that sustain millions of people downstream. Meltwater from these mountains feeds the Ganges River basin, making Nepal a silent lifeline for South Asia. For centuries, these mountains shaped Nepal's isolation. Dangerous passes and extreme weather limited outside influence, allowing local kingdoms and cultures to develop independently in remote valleys. At the same time, the Himalayas connected Nepal to Tibet through ancient trade routes, where salt, wool, and spiritual ideas moved across some of the highest terrain on Earth. Geologically, Nepal sits directly on the collision line between the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates. The pressure beneath this land is immense, and the mountains here continue to rise each year. Earthquakes, landslides, and unstable slopes are constant reminders that Nepal's Himalayas are still forming, still alive. Life in Nepal's Himalayas demands adaptation. Villages cling to steep slopes, agriculture follows narrow seasonal windows, and survival depends on deep knowledge of weather and terrain. Yet these mountains are not seen as barriers. In Nepal, the Himalayas are sacred, home to gods, protectors, and spiritual energy that flows through everyday life. In Tibet, the Himalayas reach their most symbolic and spiritual expression. This is where the mountain range merges with the Tibetan plateau, forming what is often called the roof of the world. At an average elevation above 4,500 meters, Tibet is not just high, it is one of the most elevated inhabited regions on Earth. The Himalayas along Tibet's southern edge act as a natural wall between Central Asia and the Indian subcontinent. Peaks like Mount Everest, known here as Komalangma, rise from the plateau's edge, marking both a geological boundary and a cultural threshold. From this vantage point, the mountains are not isolated summits, but part of a vast, continuous highland shaped by tectonic forces still active today. Geologically, Tibet exists because of the same collision that created the Himalayas, the ongoing impact between the Indian and Eurasian plates. But unlike the steep southern slopes seen in Nepal, Tibet's side of the Himalayas opens into immense high-altitude plains, glacial basins, and windswept grasslands. This contrast defines the Tibetan experience of the Himalayas: wide, open, and exposed. For centuries, the Himalayas protected Tibet from large-scale invasion, reinforcing its isolation and allowing a distinct civilization to develop. Trade routes crossing high passes connected Tibet to Nepal, Bhutan, and India, carrying salt, wool, tea, and spiritual traditions across extreme terrain. These routes were dangerous, seasonal, and vital, shaping both economy and belief. In Tibetan culture, the Himalayas are inseparable from spirituality. Mountains are considered living entities, guardians of the land, and manifestations of divine presence. Pilgrimages often involve circumambulating sacred peaks, not climbing them. In this worldview, mountains are not meant to be conquered, but respected. In Bhutan, the Himalayas are not defined by extremes of fame or conquest, but by seclusion and balance. Tucked deep within the eastern Himalayas, Bhutan occupies a landscape where steep forested valleys rise suddenly into snow-covered ridges, isolating the country from the outside world for centuries. Unlike the towering 8,000-meter peaks of Nepal or the vast plateaus of Tibet, Bhutan's Himalayas feel intimate and enclosed. Mountains here form natural corridors and barriers, shaping a nation built inward rather than outward. This geography allowed Bhutan to preserve its sovereignty, culture, and spiritual traditions well into the modern era. The Himalayan terrain defines every aspect of Bhutanese life. Rivers born from glacial melt cut through deep valleys, powering agriculture and hydroelectric systems that sustain the country today. Villages are scattered along mountain slopes, connected by narrow roads that trace ancient paths once used by monks, traders, and messengers crossing high passes. Bhutan's approach to the Himalayas is shaped by restraint. High peaks are rarely climbed, forests remain largely untouched, and development is carefully controlled. The mountains are not viewed as obstacles to overcome, but as guardians of harmony between people, nature, and belief. In Pakistan, the Himalayas meet some of the most powerful mountain systems on Earth. This is one of the few places where the Himalayas, Karakoram, and Hindu Kush converge, creating a landscape of extreme elevation, deep valleys, and raw geological force. Nowhere else does the story of mountain formation feel so immediate. Northern Pakistan marks the western edge of the Himalayas. Here, the range transitions from broad ridgelines into sharper, more aggressive terrain. Rivers such as the Indus, born from Himalayan glaciers, carve through the mountains, shaping some of the deepest gorges on the planet and sustaining life far beyond the highlands. Geologically, this region is defined by collision. The Indian plate continues to push northward beneath Eurasia, compressing rock layers and driving vertical uplift. Earthquakes, landslides, and unstable slopes are part of daily reality. Pakistan's Himalayas are young, restless, and constantly changing. For centuries, these mountains acted as both shield and gateway. While the Himalayas limited large-scale invasion from the east, high passes and valleys connected Pakistan to Central Asia and China through ancient routes of trade and migration. This crossroads position shaped a region known for cultural diversity, resilience, and adaptability. Life in Pakistan's Himalayan valleys demands precision and endurance. Settlements are built along riverbanks and terraced slopes, where agriculture depends on glacial meltwater and seasonal timing. Communities develop sophisticated irrigation systems and architectural styles designed to survive harsh winters and seismic activity. Spiritually and culturally, the mountains command respect rather than symbolism. Unlike the sacred peaks of Tibet or Nepal, Pakistan's Himalayas are defined by survival, endurance, and movement. They are climbed, crossed, and lived within not as myths, but as realities that shape daily existence. Across nations, cultures, and centuries, the Himalayas remain a force that transcends borders. From sacred plateaus and hidden kingdoms to rugged valleys carved by ice and time, this mountain system is more than a geographic feature. It is a living backbone of Asia. Here, nature dictates the rhythm of life. Rivers are born, civilizations are shaped, and belief systems take root in thin air and silence. The Himalayas do not offer comfort easily, but they reward endurance with perspective, reminding humanity of its smallness within a vast and restless earth. As the sun sets behind jagged ridgelines and shadows stretch across high passes, the mountains stand unchanged, still rising, still moving. They continue to shape weather, cultures, and destinies far beyond their snowy summits. If this journey through the Himalayas revealed something new to you, support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and exploring our other documentaries. More untold places and powerful landscapes await in the next journey.